Campers, it's me, Ari Lehman, the first Jason Voorhees. From Friday the 13th, I'm here with AJ, and he's got the juiciest slice ready for you. It's dripping with blood. Jason never dies.
What makes a horror film kill memorable, terrific, even in some way profound or poignant? Let's explore. Thanks for checking this out. If anything about it trips your fancy, please like, subscribe, and share.
Yes.
Without further ado,
the first time was just as bad. Oh my goodness. I'll be right with you. It's this typewriter. It was terrible.
dealing with a disgruntled patient, a receptionist in a doctor's office named Sharon mistakes a rather innocuous-looking young man for a typewriter repairman, not aware what a prominent role he will soon take in her life.
Well, you make sure and tell all this to the doctor.
Managing it all with a smile, Sharon is reconciled to the inclusion of unruly patients in her life. It would seem her boss gets lots of complaints.
Okay, this is the one. Hear that?
Dwayne, the young man, a little sheepish and out of his element, is too timid to stop Sharon from going on.
Sounds like something grinding inside, and the carriage won't return.
And lets her lay out all the symptoms in gory detail.
Yesterday it was squeaking, like if a mouse was caught inside.
And with it sounding like something died. I do mean all the gory details.
Real high-pitched, like...
Since you can only listen to labored squeaks for so long, Dwayne interrupts her demonstration.
I don't know anything about typewriters. I just want to see the doctor.
Dwayne displays a simple bashfulness, and she feels bad putting him in an awkward situation.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I just assumed.
How she explains it.
Well, I didn't think you were a patient. I'm expecting someone to fix the typewriter this afternoon.
Does make perfect sense.
And I just thought, I figured that was your toolbox or something.
Oddly, she's kind of right. Only the tool it holds is a murder machine set on high, and the switch is broken. More on that later. For now, Dwayne wants to know if the doc accepts walk-in appointments.
He'd tell you no, friend of the family or not.
Sharon, well, she's willing to bend the rules.
So, we'll just pretend you did call.
She can definitely work him in more ways than one.
And have an appointment for 11:30.
Which happens to be about now.
You're next.
Although, for sake of the paperwork, there is a matter of him providing his name.
What's your name?
Dwayne Bradley. Oh, but don't write that.
Dwayne, for reasons, wants his identity to be a surprise.
What's in the basket? Easter eggs?
A touchy subject, Dwayne ignores an obvious avenue of sparking conversation.
Just visiting New York, or...
Sharon is a tenacious lady. Dwayne has her interest, and she won't let this opportunity slip through her fingers.
So, have you gone to the Empire State Building yet, in the Statue of Liberty?
No, I haven't had the time.
Sharon might have an enduring love for her city, a loyalty that inspires her to rebuke apathetic tourists.
Haven't had the time? Well, what about Radio City Music Hall? Or the UN?
If not for the scolding tone of voice, solid promotion for the city's many famous sites.
Had time for them?
No,
Oh, what about the World Trade Towers?
Does she get a cut of the profits? During her spiel, Dwayne can barely get a word in edgewise.
Or the trolley cars?
it's not that I don't want to, but...
The Met, the cloisters, Grandma's Chinese.
The poor guy is just a fish out of water, but it turns out Sharon might just have a funny idea of flirting and setting her lure.
It's just that I don't know where anything is.
Sharon turns on a dime, one of those fast pivots that could give you whiplash.
Well, if you need a tour guide, I'd be happy to volunteer.
There it is. The lady has her eyes set on Dwayne, and she sees a potential romantic interest in the shy young man.
You're next.
If anything, the disgruntled woman is even more peeved off, so Dwayne's visit is sure to go swimmingly.
So, what did he give you, 48 hours to live?
There's only one question on everyone's mind.
Was he surprised?
Oh, yeah. Very.
Sharon isn't actually concerned with the particulars of his appointment with the doctor.
Anyway, getting back to what we were talking about before,
Yes, the odd flirtation bordering on a dressing down.
I get off here tonight at 7.
Since Dwayne's social skills are at a basic level, he needs a nudge.
Hint, hint.
The problem is, he has a compelling reason to turn her down, beyond the pedestrian ones he offers.
Can't say I didn't try.
Against his better judgment, after setting that ever-present basket out of earshot, Dwayne returns to Sharon. Suddenly buoyed by the lightness that comes out of the reversal of rejection,
May I call you tomorrow?
233-3000.
Sharon seems intent on a meetup,
He doesn't have hours on Wednesday. I'll have the whole day free.
letting him know exactly where to find her.
Where do you live?
I'll write it down.
With so much on the horizon, Sharon has a lot of reason to be pleased, but she's curious.
Why are we whispering?
I don't want him to hear.
Who? The doctor?
Dwayne would rather ride a wave of exaltation than explain,
It's all the way downtown.
certain not to forget that basket of his.
I'll see you later.
The reason Dwayne has come to the city is a matter of revenge. The basket, it contains his once conjoined twin, Belial, ruthlessly cut off because he was viewed more as an aberration or deformity than a human being. Those responsible, they need to suffer. Sharon's boss, he's one of the offenders. But in the meantime, Dwayne wants to spend some time with the cute receptionist and needs to occupy his brother.
It's going to be dull, so I figured you'd have a better time here.
Downplaying his trip out as simple reconnaissance, he presents the perfect distraction.
With this. Ta-da!
Dwayne wastes no time making his way to Sharon's place. Of course, as you would, they immediately go to the Statue of Liberty. Say what you will, there's a reason statuesque is a term used to describe the shape of beautiful women. Lady Liberty, then and now, total smoke show. Way down at the base, a stout foundation if there ever was one, the lovebirds frolic about. Sharon seems to be in high spirits and plops right down.
I gotta get these boots off. My feet are killing me.
It's always good to reveal early in a relationship if foot fetishism is going to apply. Whip out those feet, ladies. If he drools, starts blubbering, gets choked up, then you know.
That was a rare thrill. Every time the wind blew, I thought I was going to collapse.
A man with secrets. Dwayne has a confession to make.
I really don't want to see the city. I just said that as an excuse to see you.
Sharon's instant enthusiasm inspires relief.
You're not mad?
You dummy!
Sharon has a confession to make too. As it turns out, she doesn't have a side gig working for the tourism board after all.
I suggested we tour the city for the same reason you went along with it.
We're talking genuine mutual attraction here. These people like each other in a way that at the very least a man's getting to know each other a little better.
I wanted to be with you too.
You did?
Dwayne was the tall, intriguing stranger that came out of nowhere to brighten her day and widen her world.
Dwayne! Dwayne! I know an awful lot of guys, Dwayne.
This isn't time to talk numbers, but whatever. Dwayne is the outlier from all the others, however many there might be.
But you're different.
Classic outsider, Dwayne explains that he keeps to himself. The sort of admission that would make a less attractive man suspicious. Here, it marks him as a unique soul.
You're a dying breed, Dwayne.
Never let it be claimed a smooch, even a tiny peck, is trivial business, because kisses tend to multiply. Dwayne having one of those big experiences in a young fellow's life. A powerful telepathic impression shoots out across town, all the way to the dingy little room Dwayne is renting, and someone isn't happy. What did that poor TV do to deserve that? Losing his mind in real time, the neighbors are soon drawn to his tirade, maybe mistaking it for a portal to hell opening up. Belial evidently has the arm strength of a bodybuilder. Either he's been working out.
Oh, must have fallen off the dresser.
And you've been out all day?
Or else he earned this wad of cash giving out the fastest handies in town. The neighbors bust in but find no portal to hell, or even a tweaking junkie.
Someone's got to be in here. Unless they climbed out the window, because this just doesn't make any sense.
They bustle out, and an unfortunate thief goes back to steal some of that cash. The psychic impression boomerangs, and Dwayne is gobsmacked.
Dwayne, are you alright?
If Belial were jerking off strangers to fund their revenge trip, it would go to reason he would be particularly angry. Someone would steal his hard-earned moolah.
Get back!
Wait!
Without delay, Dwayne charges toward the hotel, and the dire ramifications of what happens when he neglects his duties.
Dwayne!
You can't come in here! Get out of here!
Sharon follows him all the way back, just to get the bum's rush.
You heard what they said! He killed Donovan! No! I don't want him killing you!
More prophetic words have never been spoken. Never speak your greatest fear. If only Sharon took getting shoved away at the end of a disastrous first date as a sign to keep her distance from Dwayne. Yet when tragedy strikes in her world, unaware he's directly involved in it, he's the one she seeks out for support.
Oh God, Dwayne, something awful's happened.
Belial has been up to his handiwork, working out his issues on a quack physician.
Dr. Needleman's been murdered. They found his body sometime last night.
Costing his lady friend her job was an unfortunate consequence of their payback. Hopefully her resume is up to date.
It's so awful. I'm so shaky. I didn't like the man.
It probably wasn't good to cause her what might be lasting trauma either.
God, Dwayne, someone killing him? I'm a wreck.
At times like these, strong support would help so much.
I need to be with someone. I don't want to be alone.
Even with a little black book of names in her mind, since she knows lots of guys, Dwayne is the one she singled out in this distressing moment.
I want to be with you, Dwayne.
Not used to such emotional outbursts when they don't include a room being demolished by a raging foot-tall homunculus. Dwayne is kind of at a loss, in the awkward position of offering consolation, when his hands are blood-stained, if not directly, certainly by proxy.
I don't know why. Especially after the way you acted yesterday, but
Attraction is powerful, chemical havoc in the brain, and it deludes you into seeing what you want to see.
You're the first person I thought of.
A murder out of the blue is a solid reason to get emotional for anyone.
Please don't cry.
But Dwayne is having difficulty processing Sharon's emotions because he's going through so many of his own, part of which pertain to accepting she has no place in his complicated life.
It's all right, really. Come on upstairs.
Another instance of Dwayne ignoring better judgment. He knows what the right thing to do is, but also from Sharon's perspective, what the proper thing to do is, and goes with that like a love-struck fool.
It's awful. What do you need to identify the body?
Getting the other side of the revenge, the cold hard reality of the fallout, lands right in Dwayne's lap.
They saw how bad I was taking it. I don't understand why I'm this upset. I just am.
The shock of it all, even inexplicable trauma can run deep, and this has put a spike to Sharon's core.
And I don't know why I've been thinking of you, but it's all I did.
Intuition? A sixth sense? That there's more to Dwayne than meets the eye?
I've been thinking of you all day. Oh God, Dwayne.
In vulnerable moments, when emotions are running high, the sparks can fly. How things transpire is a curious thing, when it ends with lying down on a bed. Sharon is very, very receptive, looking for the kind of distraction that really gets the blood and juices flowing.
Take me, Dwayne. Oh my God, what's that? Dwayne, let me out.
Belial pops out as if achieving a form of immediate tumescence, up and ready for action.
Let me out. Dwayne, let me out. Let me out. Dwayne!
Dwayne is entranced, Belial's mind control overcoming his other senses, as Sharon pleads.
Dwayne, let me out. Dwayne, let me out. Dwayne, let go.
Getting a grip on himself, Dwayne does the only sensible thing. With Sharon wrapped for delivery, he sends her on her way. Totally confused and flabbergasted, Sharon demands Dwayne let her back in.
Dwayne, open up. What's happening in there?
But he's engaged in a battle of wills and physical prowess against a mean little bastard bent on getting his way.
Dwayne, open up. What are you trying to do to me?
When he won't let her in, feeling the sting of rejection and burn of frustration, she forces herself to leave, only to make one more plea.
Dwayne!
Not getting any response, she stomps out of there. Entitled to her anger and bewilderment. With all that behind them, and Dwayne resigned to his place as the lonely single guy who totes around a large basket instead of the trappings of a life and happiness, the brothers bed down. Only Belial is kept up by stirrings that can't be ignored. The nefarious little deviant has plans across town, in Sharon's neighborhood. With the strange link they share, Belial's journey manifests in Dwayne's dreamscape and finds him running through the city stark naked, twigs and berries in the wind. This is because he's in some way astral projecting, traveling with his brother, his visage, representing the humanity in Belial. Crawling through a window in the dark, like a true night stalker. Sharon slumbers blissfully, unaware as she is approached. In dreams, it's Dwayne's hand, while the reality, well gee, it's easy to surmise what's really happening. So exposed, so vulnerable, a sleeping beauty in her own right. This is the penultimate moment. Before true darkness envelops Sharon, when the sweet dream ends and the nightmare begins. The thing is, though, some nightmares are real.
This is no dream. This is really happening.
And something unwelcome has climbed aboard, for wicked purposes. The horrific sight of Belial pinning her down understandably sends her into near hysterics. For a little sucker, Belial is incredibly strong. What horror to be overpowered by an oversized skin tag. This obscenity is the height of bad taste and a stark contrast between a beautiful young woman at the peak of life and an ugly bulge of flesh and skin snuffing out that life. When he's in a state, Belial seems to act on instinct alone, and his instinct is to shred apart life. Belial refuses to let up until she breathes her last, and he can do whatever he wants to her prone form. One completion not enough, not fully discharged. The spectacular wanting this woman brings out of him makes him see red. And all the animus and animosity makes him intent on getting something else from her. With the killing done, Belial repositions, looking to get the most out of this and feel what Sharon has to offer. The poor lady wanted to be taken, but not like this. Not like this. That's necrophilia. So yeah, lovely stuff. It would seem Belial defiles, despoils, and dehumanizes her because there's no other way he could have her, to possess her completely. It would seem the disgusting little creeper is quite attached. Belial, in a frenzied state of ecstasy, doesn't make it easy for Dwayne. With the despicable little critter contained, Dwayne pauses to look at Sharon, deceased and tore up, as it were. Because of him, his brother hated her for engaging, liking, and offering her body to him, and he punished her thoroughly for daring to come between them with the prospect of sex. As Dwayne absconds like a thief in the night, completely broken, he laments how she wasn't someone on the chopping block, not someone to kill.
She was good! She was good! She wasn't one of them!
When an exit erupts, even explodes out of extreme emotional turmoil, a jealous tantrum born out of outrage over a perceived betrayal and unmet sexual desires, culminating in a lump of sentient meat, slaughtering a young woman like a plumbing and pillaging berserker on a battlefield. How can it be anything other than extraordinary? Sharon had no idea she was insinuating herself into a bizarre love triangle of sorts. She saw a handsome young man with a welcoming demeanor, and decided to let him audition for the role of Mr. Right. She had no clue that basket held death and mayhem personified, and they say dating is hard today. What happened to her was
Like one of those horrible acts against nature that are just seared into your brain like a hot brand.
and completely unwarranted. If anything, this seems like a lesson to the ladies not to be too forward and presumptuous, just because a guy fills out a list. Let's be honest here. Dwayne was tall, trim, good-looking, kind, and sweet, and he appealed to Sharon's lady parts.
Which are the lady parts?
The vagina and the heart.
On the surface, he seemed like a good catch. A young lady in the city, Sharon was playing the field, likely had plenty of freewheeling suitors to pick from, and had been around enough to know a true individual when she saw one. Too bad he came with an asymmetrical oddball twin brother that believed in a share-and-share-alike philosophy, and saw no boundary that was uncrossable, even truly abhorrent ones, since he was not adverse to mating with a corpse.
God help us!
Far meeker and beholden Dwayne, a gentle soul with a bursting heart, could have done well on his own.
The boy should have a chance at a normal life.
An argument used for Belial's risky at-home separation and near annihilation.
We're talking about your child.
Child? Dwayne is my child, not that other thing.
It's sad that the very thing that made Dwayne rescue and protect his brother, love,
Is that you, Belial?
was what led to his downfall. Maybe it would be too much to say Dwayne already loved or was in love with Sharon, but what is certain? He hoped for love, yearned for it, wished to possess it like an item he could carry in his pocket. Too bad the situation made them star-crossed almost lovers from the start. Their fast infatuation never consummated, since that would have led to Belial toppling all of New York City, in a way that would have put King Kong to shame.
What?
This movie is another of those snapshots of its time, when Times Square was still a seedy, immoral cesspool full of weirdos and cheap sex. The Twin Towers stood triumphantly like they would be there forever, and typewriter or television repairman were still viable career paths, and in so being, reveals the dysfunction burbling under the surface of society, portrayed in proverbial terms through the conflict that can exist in families, between even the closest brothers, when ambition and change shakes things up, and goals are redefined as life progresses, one clinging to the past, the other wanting to leap toward the future. Belial wanted to bathe in the blood of their enemies and brood. Dwayne was desperate for the kind of love and attention he could get from Sharon. What a tangled web we weave when it's ourselves we seek to deceive. When Dwayne shared an instant mutual attraction with a beautiful young woman, he knew it had to be hidden, that Belial's reaction could be bad, but he was lying to himself if he believed he could conduct a romantic entanglement covertly. Did he have an inkling Belial might get volatile over it? There had to be at least a suspicion.
What? No!
So Dwayne knew better, but the enticement of Sharon and his denial over the extent Belial would actually go were too great for him to sidestep tragedy. That would have required a lesser sacrifice he refused to make, resulting in a far greater sacrifice, because either way, he wasn't getting Sharon. But in one scenario, she got to go on living her life, and in the other, the one where he got a single botched date, she died in total terror. Somehow, it's understandable.
Man, you sure can pitch a song about nothing.
Young men have been known to jettison rationale when the attentions of a foxy lady are on the line. An energetic looker making the moves on him shut down all reasoning despite the hitch, just a small catch, that he wasn't a solo act, and was caregiver to a temperamental little troglodyte. With their extrasensory connection, there was no keeping a secret, especially one of such magnitude. Since keeping it on the down low wasn't an option, it showed how love and lust blinds us and makes us selfish. First off, you don't try to get with an employee of someone you intend to see dead. That's not the story of how you met that you want to be telling your children. And besides, for Sharon's own safety, Dwayne should have made a wide path around her. Belial was a pistol with a slippery trigger, predictable in the worst way, bombastic, with an emphasis on bomb. To avoid making Sharon a casualty of his rampaging, he had to stay away. Instead, to serve his own needs, desires, and fantasies, he got her killed by his murderous twin. Belial was his plight, the albatross around his neck, and he chose to take on the responsibility. When they entered a covenant to murder those involved in their separation, he was in too deep to pretend his duties as Belial's keeper didn't go way beyond tending to his basic needs. It meant being his jailer and conscience. The second he faltered in those duties, Belial was making the kind of racket that wakes the dead and draws way too much interest, leading to a skeevy thief's brutal undoing. Transported in a basket, his every basic need provided for, Belial was in many ways an invalid, incapable of navigating life on his own. Yet he could kill a man the way most swat a fly. There's gotta be irony and or poetic justice in that.
You are as delusional as fucking ever.
Even if how the diminutive devil expressed himself was almost all wrong, Belial sighed, his frustration, his angst, even his murderous desire for revenge, were understandable.
He's right, of course.
Harsher than a dip in a frozen lake, he knew rejection like few ever will. So complete, his life was deemed meaningless.
If we separate the deformity from Dwayne, it will probably die.
It's better off dead. What kind of life would it have the way it is?
A life chopped away like a wart and treated like a late-term abortion. He was discarded like medical refuse, tossed out with the trash. This is powerful imagery, and definitely makes some point about abortion, when it's as if a discarded fetus reaches out of a trash bag. Despite all the evidence to the contrary, his very humanity was called into question.
And the other one?
Doctor? I'm not even sure it's human.
Unless there was compelling evidence a saucer came down and an alien fathered one of the twins, he was most certainly human. Human enough, sentient enough, to understand when his life was literally on the chopping block.
No! God, no! Help! Help!
The film might be saying that it's unfair to end a life merely because it's inconvenient, unattractive, and or a reminder of sorrow, which would be a powerful take. There could also be an argument for quality of life, or lack thereof. Since Belial was denied greater acceptance and love, wasn't it maybe in his best interest to be exterminated, before becoming something beyond contempt, something just this side of irredeemable?
Give me a reason! Just give me a fucking reason! You don't know what I'm capable of!
Since that would come down to the ramifications of outside influences, it seems a particularly unfair criteria by which to judge, because it would mean that treatment determines the value of a life, rather than what merits the life itself bears. Winding up a monster wasn't entirely his fault, but a byproduct of a life of trial by ordeal. Is preempting such misbegotten life by ending it before it can become evil still the safest bet? That's an old question, an ongoing debate, one maybe best answered by the victims of violent crime. So, on the converse, due to Belial's incredible hostility, it might be making a point about ensuring the life is stamped out before it becomes a hazard, like stepping on a venomous spider before it has a chance to bite. To that I say boo. Life, inconvenient, even threatening life, is as entitled as any to live and thrive. We humans have quite a bit to answer for in general, up to and including original sin, if you buy that bit, and we're allowed to go on blundering our way forward, something of a sentient virus, always multiplying. This is a film that recognizes that people are flawed, sometimes terribly so, sort of a cross we all bear, because out of it comes many of the world's sorrows. These are only a few of the points navigated with a raw elegance that capably cloaks there's so much more going on than a compelling entertainment. It's not always a smart move to take on such hot-button, uncomfortable issues, but the film navigates its taboo subject matter without forcing the audience to come down on any side, exploring wider themes through a man, albeit a different sort of man, because that is what Belial was. No matter how monstrous he looked, the dude was a man, who existed more as creature than human being, relegated to that status by his appearance and inability to communicate with words. If he were an erudite gentleman with a British accent, the visual could have been overcome with some snappy, witty remarks, since he seemed only able to shriek at varying frequencies. He wasn't able at all to counter the ogre, beastie, and bogey stereotype. Inner strength dissolves in the acid sapped out of fury because it's a steady drip, and oftentimes from weakness, the worst acts crop up, and with that comes a loss of moral center. At least he was a real scene stealer. Ultimately, between nature and nurture, that was exactly what he emerged as, a deviant and deranged creature, a true monster, driven by twisted desires, a true aficionado of vicious cataclysmic murder, carried out to fulfill his disturbing bestial needs. Belial should have been a protected class, and was instead treated like an obstinate growth.
They don't share organs or bone.
To be cut off, like a tumor.
Just tissue and flesh. If the operation is successful, the most Dwayne will have is a nasty scar.
Is it any wonder Belial saw fit to treat her? A veterinarian, by the way. She wasn't even a doctor. Like this? Saying the only lasting effect would be a nasty scar shows how little they understood the true connection the brothers shared.
He talks to me, up here, without words. I just hear him whispering in my brain.
No small thing. They literally had a joint telepathic link.
Sometimes he talks for hours and won't shut up.
Even if it's now one-sided, that Belial could still permeate Dwayne's mind says a lot about his mental capabilities.
I used to be able to talk to him like that, but that's when we were still connected.
It also suggested that Dwayne was always the mentally weakest of the pair, the follower, which was why he was at all part of a murder plot. Dwayne and Belial might have started on the same quest, due to similar mental maladies.
We're both of us so messed up. I don't know which one of us is worse.
This was to set things right after their unwanted separation. But by film's end, they were opposites. Two sides of the same coin. One good, one bad. Dwayne having learned he maybe preferred going it alone.
Man needs to balance his own accounts.
And Belial having learned he couldn't let Dwayne escape his control just because the possibility of normalcy existed for the handsome young man able to hide all his freakishness behind a welcoming veneer.
I don't like to Tony your voice.
In some ways, they were one and the same, and in a way Dwayne couldn't escape, as demonstrated by his nude nighttime dream journey, evidence of his telepathic link. It makes you wonder if Belial's dreams ever reflected Dwayne's waking actions. If so, it could have pushed his jealousy, glimpses at normalcy he would never know personally. Or maybe Dwayne's dream just reflected Belial's, the desire to be a regular guy who could slip into a woman's room and seduce her with his touch.
Ships like a woman responds to touch. Power of the wind in the sails.
unless that touch comes from what, to her perspective, is a creature right out of her worst nightmare. All of this makes me conclude Belial is in some way, besides being a good excuse for birth control in general, representative of sexual repression, perhaps the importance of it as a means of avoiding trouble, be that a pregnancy that ends in an unwanted, possibly deformed child, or a violation, possibly a murder, to satisfy intense feelings of rage, jealousy, and resentment. When Dwayne got aroused, Belial popped up faster than even the randiest young man pops a boner.
Take me, Dwayne.
Why? To nip that shit in the bud. The clash between brothers is almost operatic, and overall way beyond your typical run-of-the-mill sibling rivalry. Dwayne and Belial shared a seemingly unshakable bond, until horniness intruded. Well, also the desire for affection, love, and female companionship. Horniness is just a big part of that for a lot of virile young men. The real enemy was the green-eyed monster. No, not Belial. His eyes were distinctly red. It would maybe be cool if they flashed back and forth between red and green for Christmas, but I digress. No matter how you tear it down, Belial was a perfect stand-in to bring the analogy to life. The green-eyed monster was of course jealousy. Red-eyed though he might be, and without a single drink, Belial begrudged Dwayne the normalcy he could project due to having the appearance of a standard person. Because of that, Belial wanted to drag him down to his level, and remind him he was no less a freak, just because he could walk unnoticed among the normies. Weirdly, in the course of events across one of the wonkiest but coolest trilogies you'll ever see, Belial is the one to get laid. Talk about bumping uglies, or making the beast with two backs. Emphasis on beast. Rule 34 be damned. That has to be one of the strangest sex scenes committed to celluloid. I mean, damn. Resulting in a, for want of a better word, a litter of Belials. Maybe a murder would be a better word, because you just know they're going to kill it. Anyhow, in some ways, Belial was incredibly special, an anomaly in the best way, could even offer ironclad proof of extrasensory perception. Were he able to control his wilder side, he could have been more than a curiosity. This could be about not judging intellect or capability by appearance. It could also be commentary about the corrosiveness of anger. So rageful, it was possible Belial was veritably insane, driven into madness by justified but unhealthy, even harmful infuriation towards those who could so callously forfeit his life. In many ways, Belial is pitiable, never given a fair shake, deemed a source of evil for a fatal birth.
It should be dead instead of my wife. How could you let it be born?
How a surviving parent can blame a child for what's either a natural act if you're science-minded, or an act of God if you're religious-minded, I'll never know. Even if such a thing were a punishment by an angered deity, you better swallow that bitter pill, accept the consequences, and do the work the good Lord put on your shoulders, by not discarding the resultant irregularity. Belial represents tragedy on so many levels, and it has nothing to do with his appearance beyond how others, the obtuse and small-minded, perceived him. With his strength and powers, if motivated correctly, if nurtured like a human being, he could have been a force to reckon with in the real workaday world. He might have been the first college professor who conducted lectures telepathically, but all his potential was crapped away due to anger, bigotry, and cruelty. Getting treated like a dirty secret that needs to be hidden away, the question becomes, should the put-upon be expected to take it forever? Or was Belial's break from societal boundaries completely unjustified? It's very possible Belial was broken emotionally and mentally by his plight, so it would make sense that he was a shell of a human being, never knowing the benefits many of us enjoy, even take for granted. He's not just short. He's not just ugly. He's not just permanently bald. He's not just missing limbs. He's not just incapable of speech. He's not just deformed. He's all those things together. And added up, well, that equals to many, instantly recognizable freak of nature. That's hard to live down. What's a life when always faced with such judgment? But then, even in a civilized society with glaring flaws, being treated monstrously doesn't give anyone license to act in kind, especially if it involves taking the life of an innocent girl, even if many of the others, well...
They had it coming.
Sharon was an idealistic woman who saw a handsome stranger to the city, and maybe envisioned the possibility of some thrills. Unaware what she was in for was chills. An unfortunate turn of luck. She did nothing to deserve her fate. Totally unbeknownst to her until it was too late, she stumbled into a very rarefied situation, one that included vengeful murder, and an individual so freakish, his grotesque appearance ultimately defined him. If only Dwayne wasn't so starved for positive attention that her merely being nice counted as enchantment. The man was bright enough to know his brother was a threat to anyone who got too close. Make that person an eye-catching woman, and a more classic brotherly rivalry emerges. Dwayne might have seemed like an upgrade from her usual pursuers, and in some ways maybe he was. On his own, basically a decent and caring guy. But his baggage, that basket case, and what it holds, that created an unbridgeable gap. Looks don't change facts. This could be an analogy for dating someone who has a Jekyll and Hyde personality. On one side, the ideal man, and on the other, a raving, frenzied beast. This works because in some ways, as Dwayne would later acknowledge,
I'm just kidding myself. I mean, us being hacked in half doesn't make us two separate individuals. Just two separate halves.
They're the same person that happened to be born with two articulable brains. Maybe the problem was that this made Dwayne too morally flexible, able to set aside his humanity to meet the ends Belial demanded of him. When such a simple but complex pledge is reached, the rest of the world needs to be shut out until the agenda is fulfilled. So it was Dwayne who compromised everything by straying from their pact, just because a girl paid him some mind. There were definitely contradictions in his character, a duality, an underlying innocence countered, dare I say belied, by cold hard knowledge of chilling truths. Sharon was like a stunning dolphin chopped into chum by the rotors of competing motorboats. Maybe I'm just thinking about motorboating in general. Let us not forget, the lady had an amply bountiful bosom. Sharon was so much more than her physical assets, though.
We'll even buy you some 3D postcards and an I Love New York t-shirt.
She was sweet and kind and open to a soft-spoken young man, stricken by all the hang-ups that come from isolation and a cultish mindset.
Don't they have girls upstate?
Poor lady deserved better. Dear old dad. On the other hand, got exactly what he had coming. Maybe that is where it should have stopped, with the instigator of the hate. Rampaging was bound to lead to innocent victims getting pulled into the melee. Sharon shouldn't have been anywhere near that mess. Well, I've about reached the end of the rope, so I won't leave you dangling. Thanks for suffering through my many suppositions. Please share any refutations, opinions, accusations, japes, or other ideas in the comments below. And please join me for whatever I'm up to next time. Bye now.
Bye, creepy man! Keep it creepy!
He's a weird guy.
Goodbye! He'll appreciate this. He's a million laughs.
That's the juiciest slice. Yeah. Not.